On the northeast tip of North America is a town called Gander.
September 11th, 2001.
Over 200 planes getting diverted.
Even with all the hotels in town, we've got no room.
With thousands of passengers arriving at any minute, the town is asking for help with, well, anything you can do.
We barely know where we are.
Just freaking out. I wish I was home.
Thank you for shopping at Walmart. Would you like to come back to my house for a shower?
I remember from my experience in musical theater in grade school and middle school, although I never had the musical chops, so I just did action-based roles or mere speaking parts, of how important it is to speak and sing to the back of the room. The view is completely full from a theater perspective, like audiences can pick wherever they want to focus. And there are a lot of moving parts to this. Something is going on at all times, almost by everyone. Even when the cast just sits, there's something to be gathered from their silence. What's something that you've both collected from the performances or the interpretations of your work that you've never noticed until this more intimate framing of the film version made it apparent to you?
Everybody that's on the plane has at least one different character that they play at the beginning of the show, and they are up to all sorts of things in the background as the main people are talking, and I'm kind of like, what is going on there? Like, I couldn't tell. We usually stand in the back of the orchestra, so you can't tell from back there, but then when the camera's like boom, it's like, oh, there's a whole storyline happening here that I wasn't aware of.
Yeah. It's pretty incredible to see it close up. I mean, but like really close up, as if you could stand on stage and be part of it, as if you were sitting with them and being part of the scene. And then to see it from new angles from above. Certainly, we've never seen it from above before, and it's beautiful to see the choreography from a new angle. And then also to be able to share all the Easter eggs that we love about it, these little details about how something happens, to be able to share that with fans and with new audiences it's really exciting.
Is there a sweet spot for you both, or like a magical spot when you're watching it in the theater that you feel like this is the best vantage point that I feel like I'm getting the most out of?
You know, it's hard to say because it's nice to be up in the balcony because then you get to see the lighting and the choreography and the staging, but it's also nice to be near the front so that they start to talk right to you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it really depends. It really depends what you're looking for.
I love being at the back of the house, particularly because we get to see the audience reacting, and we get to see people passing boxes of Kleenex down the row, and we get to see people laughing and then realizing they're laughing together with someone else, and then by the end they've become best friends, and you know, it's really joyous to see them as part of the show as well.
Yeah. What's so beautiful about your work here is how much it speaks to hope being found during a time when it seems so impossible. There was so much confusion and uncertainty on 9/11 and beyond that we had to lean on each other, put aside differences. And after such an unfathomable year with the virus and racial injustices, we saw a lot of great examples of that. Would you say that sharing this story has caused you to plug more into the positivity or the hope within events that shake the world? Or do you find that there are times when you are challenged emotionally and mentally, because we're all human, that you may need to plug back into the types of messages that you display in your own work from time to time?
Absolutely. You know, sometimes people behave in disappointing ways, and you've got to try to be like, this is one instance, and a lot of times it's one individual or maybe a few individuals, and not put your energy towards that, but put your energy towards positive things. I know I spent a lot of time in Starbucks drive-throughs during the pandemic, and I remember the first time someone was like, "No, the car in front of you paid for you," and I was like, "Oh, that is such a tiny thing in this awful, horrible pandemic, and yet it just made my week." You know, like, and so like. It started to become a thing. Like, we would start to go to Starbucks and we'd just be like, and get the guy behind us, because like it just made such a difference that like someone else out there was aware of your existence and kind of giving like a little tip of the hat. You know what I mean? So it definitely influences the way I behave.
Yeah, and we've tried to we've tried to live inspired by the generosity of the people in Newfoundland, and so has our cast and company. Every 9/11 is a day of service for our company. We're going to be out in Gander volunteering there, but also we've spent time packing food for food banks with our cast and crew for around the country, and we try every day to live up to that standard, to remember that, you know, what they view as ordinary, we think of as extraordinary. So we try to make it ordinary for us.
Yeah, yeah. You actually answered one of the questions I was going to ask you about, which is like the last time that you've had a beautiful exchange with a stranger, because that's what I get out of this is like, I want to have some of those moments where I just talk to somebody, because I've become so systematic in my life now. Like I have to do this, I have to get here. But some of the most memorable moments in my life come from those times that I've slowed down and had exchanges with new people, whether it's talking about fish and cheese dishes or finding parallels in our everyday lives or just listening or having them listen to me. So what, besides the Starbucks, when's the last time that you've had a beautiful exchange with a stranger?
Oh my gosh. I think I was wiping, it's pandemic talk again. I was wiping down a table in a fast food restaurant before I used it, and then after I used it, and the staff just started to applaud. And I was just like, oh, this really makes a difference. I feel a little bit weird, you know, but like they really appreciate it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're there making minimum wage and, you know, putting their lives on the line. And,
Yeah.
you know, just taking that extra moment, you know, it wasn't a typical like, oh, hey, I like your hat, but it was something that I was doing for myself, but was also doing for them and for the next person who walked in. So it was like, wow, okay, your behavior all the time does make a difference, and someone is watching, you know?
Yeah.
I thought
Yeah.
I was being discreet, but yeah,
I was watching.
you were watching. Yeah.
Yeah. I know we're about out of time here, but as my last question, like I can't, when I'm watching this, I tend to watch it a couple of times just because the first time I like take in the story, I take in the characters and everything. And then the second time, I'm more of like a meticulous film watcher. I like to break things down. So I can't fathom mapping all this out. Like there's the rhythm of it all, how we weave in and out of perspectives. You don't leave narrative stones unturned. I mean, even Lyle the cat isn't a story that's left abandoned. And then you have to communicate that visually with light and sets. And just as a viewer, it can drive yourself insane trying to break down all these aspects. Did navigating all this come natural? Did you have security blankets or influential resources to keep your roots in the ground? Or am I just thinking about this too much and it was just one piece at a time and a lot of helpful collaborators?
Well, first of all, Lyle the cat was really important to us. And in terms of security blankets, we went back to the original interviews over and over again. And in fact, I remember we volunteered at an animal shelter. And so Irene was literally listening to the interviews while scooping litter for you know, Lyle the cats, you know. So we would go back to the original interviews, and we just tried to fit in as many stories as we possibly could. And the way it happened came really organically. It was not mathematically constructed. It was organically constructed. What's the next thing we can do? How do we find stories that are about love or about food or about faith? And how do we link them together? And so
at first it was way too long, and then we started just cutting things out to see how we could tell things as efficiently as possible. But yeah, a lot of time and a lot of collaboration, and people being like, I don't think you need to say that, and it taking us 5 months to let it go, you know.
Hello? Yes, it's me.
Dad, I'm okay.
We honor what was lost, but we also commemorate what we found.